Hi, I'm Kai. I did my final on But I'm a Cheerleader, directed by Jamie Babbitt in 1999. Side note, I love this movie, so I might ramble. Um, But I'm a Cheerleader follows an average all-American teenage girl named Megan who's dating a football player. Everything's going well until one day after school, her friends and family sit down saying, "Hey, we think you're a lesbian, and we're gonna send you True Directions, aka a conversion camp, to get her back on the right track." The movie follows her for the 2 months that she's in the program, and follows her to her happy lesbian ending. This Honestly, But I'm a Cheerleader is a lesbian cult classic and is the meaning of queer film theory and a wanted change in the tide of LGBT characters and their experiences in the media. It highlights binary the heteronormative binary of gender and sexuality while providing that positive ending that so many queer people wanted in the 1990s. So, queer film theory is the idea of an acknowledgement of a broad spectrum of sexuality, sexual orientation, and gender identity. But I'm a Cheerleader just this throughout the entire movie, but especially with the two characters, Lloyd and Larry, who are ex gays, who are in a happy relationship together, who also went to true directions, and they're having the kids sneak out one night to give them a balanced perspective to see that there are options. Um, Later, we find out that Lloyd and Larry have a home together where they help newly out and young LGBT members have a place to stay while they get on their feet. When Megan goes there after she's kicked out of her home in the camp, she witnesses Larry and Lloyd having a heart to heart where Larry expresses he feels a bit inadequate in their relationship as they're taking on so many kids and members. At the end, they share a kiss. While Megan may seem a little uncomfortable, it's portrayed in the same light as a young kid seeing their two parents kiss. Like, ew, cooties. Lloyd and Larry aren't used to prove a point that gay relationships are a phase or doomed to fail. They're shown just like every other normal heteronormative couple in the media at the time. This is a welcome change, especially in the shift for LGBT community members who are happy to see representation that is not negative or often deadly in the way that they were portrayed. Though the media, especially in the 1990s, was giving a lot more representation, it wasn't always happy and they were often the butt of the joke. In a Byte 2019 article that they mentioned that in the 90s, a lot of the depicted gay characters were the punchline or stereotypes, such as Carol and Susan from Friends, that though we saw their lesbian wedding, they were used as a bit of a joke or to explain why Ross was spiraling and just upset because these two lesbians were having a happy normal life. They were living life and being married and having a kid. You can see a lot of the stereotypes and the making fun of queer people in the show Will and Grace. That although a lot of the characters are queer, they still make fun of the ones who aren't cis and aren't white. Now, a lot of them were connected to things like AIDS, murder, coming out, and their fears of coming out in the media at the time. In an interview with Variety in 2020, Jamie Babbitt said she wanted to tell a romantic lesbian story and be revolutionary, where they fall in love and have a happy ending that had to get to be told, where the lesbians actually end up in love and alive in the end, which had not really been told at the time. Everyone always died or were killed. She expressed that at the time older members of the community were upset when her movie came out, which would make sense since the community was devastated by AIDS at the time, and she had made a comedy about very serious topics like conversion camp. But though she was surprised by this hate, she kind of knew that all the 20-somethings and young people younger than me, wanted a movie like it. And she was right. A lot of younger people wanted it. One example is freelance film journalist Megan Wilson, who expressed that, when I stumbled upon But I'm a Cheerleader, here was the answer to my prayers. That the film takes a satirical and campy approach to the coming out narrative and an authentic sense of queer cultural knowledge that only a lesbian director could bring. And though it got famous, it still continues to be famous in the community, and it was honestly received a pretty positive review even till now. In the film, Babbitt points out the hypocrisy of the heteronormative binary of gender and sexuality. Megan herself is a lesbian, but she is also a feminine girl, and Babbitt uses this to point out the nonsense of true directions. It's ridiculous to say that just because you become more feminine means that you're going to be less gay. She is referring to step 2 of the program titled Rediscovering Your Gender Identity, where the boys and girls are separated to get reoriented as to what makes them a man and a woman. The girls learn to wash dishes, clean a home, take care of a baby, while the boys learn to fix cars, play football, and chop wood. As Megan Wilson points out, the first mistake Mary Brown and the others make is to conflate gender identity and sexuality. Megan is already objectively feminine in her sense of style and behavior, but it doesn't make her any less of a lesbian. And you kind of see this impossible goal of true directions throughout the film, because just though the boys are dressed in blue and the girls are in pink, and that their activities are color-coded blue and pink, they're not any less gay. It doesn't make them more attracted to the opposite sex. And it's shown very well through Megan and Graham's relationship. Graham is another girl in the program. Where the film shows that the problem of correlating gender, especially gender expression, with sexuality is kind of useless. As Megan's the example, she's feminine and nurturing, but still lesbian. And this is really driven by the point that later on in the movie, she goes to Larry and Lloyd, and when she's kicked out, and tells them that she needs them to teach her how to be gay. And they kind of look at her like she's crazy and explain to her that she is gay. However she is now, that's gay. There's no specific way to be gay, even though that there are stereotypes. Jan is a character that although they are put with girls, their gender is never expressed as female or male. They do, however, say pretty masculinely, and they dress very androgynously. In the director's cut of the movie, there's a scene where they're all talking, and Jan expresses that they never actually liked girls, that they liked boys and wanted to have the same reproductive system as cis men. Jan's the perfect antithesis to the program's work, although it wouldn't be considered all that progressive as a movie now because of this point. But I'm a Cheerleader was the perfect change in the tide for LGBT representation at the time. So, But I'm a Cheerleader is a 25-year-old fan favorite for a reason. From 1999, this movie has provided the meaning of queer film theory by giving a positive acknowledgement to something other than a cisgender heteronormative life through Megan, Mary, Lloyd, and Jan. Showing that the positive and alive ending that so many queer young people wanted to see and now look for in media. This definitely paved the way for the 1990s media, as the community was often the butt of a joke. Lastly, the film points out the ridiculousness of trying to make someone straight and equating gender expression to sexuality through the steps of the conversion camp, with the strict blues and pinks as correcting gender markers. While society has moved forward in a tolerability for the LGBT community, it still has far to go with the social and medical rights that are under attack. I think it's our time and our chance right now to kind of be heard and to vote for those who align as well as they can with our beliefs to make the country, the world, more tolerable of us as people and accept us as who we are. So with that, and elections coming up, please register to vote if you haven't. And when the time does come, please vote for those who are going to help and protect us and want to see us live happy lives.